enter your case number.
Oh, I don't see anything here.
Do you have a little bubble, like a quote icon?
Quote. Um,
Do you have a bunch of little icons somewhere on your screen?
The name is Paul Miller, and I am number 53 on the docket.
Mr. Miller, I have you notated on here. Case number 2022 R064.
Good, excellent. Thank you.
Is it possible for me to verify that I am also on the docket? My letter says the hearing was at 10 o'clock.
Yes, let me take a look here.
Thank you.
Okay, your case number, Ms. Lehman, would be 2022 R hyphen 058.
Yes.
So yes, that is on this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome.
Question, am I visible to you because I don't see my face on the screen?
You're not visible to, I can't see you. I just see an icon and a phone number.
Now, who was it that stated that?
I'm sorry, it's Paul Miller.
Okay, no, all we see is just the initials.
Well, that creates a little problem because my device is indicating that my video is on.
And in the spirit of checking with being on the docket, is it possible to see whether my name is on there also? Jack Schron?
Mr. Schron, yes, your name is on the docket as well. Case number 2022 R hyphen 018.
Okay.
Thank you.
Question, what do I do in regard to no video?
If you are wishing to address the commission at the meeting, you will need to have access to video.
Right, except my machine is indicating that it's on, but I'm not getting my video. I don't know what that's. Ah, there we are. Can you see me now?
Welcome, Ms. Kaufman, Mr. Knight. I see Ms. Tavares, Ms. Hagan. On my list of attendees, I'm not seeing Mr. Lyle or Mr. Kreitz yet. Are you present and I'm just missing it somehow?
I'm on, Phil.
Are you? Okay, Mr. Lyle?
I'm on also.
Okay, all right, good. Well, then we have everybody, Ms. Kaufman, and I was holding only because as I'm going through the list of persons, they didn't show as being present. Okay, I'll let you there.
Okay.
So, Ms. Kaufman, Ms. Kaufman, I don't know if you looked. I want the attendee list eventually there too, Chris. I sent you pictures of the attendee list in a text to you so that you could access that as well
Okay.
as we start through the process.
Okay. Okay, so at this time, I would like to call the April 21st, 2022 meeting of the Ohio Election Commission to order. Mr. Richter, if you would please call the roll.
And I will ask you to respond verbally because right at the moment, at least on my screen, I'm only seeing Mr. Knight. So Ms. Tavares?
I'm here.
Mr. Kreitz?
I'm here.
Mr. Lyle?
Present.
Mr. Knight? Ms. Hagan?
Present.
And Vice Chair Kaufman, who is the chair for this meeting.
Present.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Beatty is traveling, so he will not be present today at today's meeting.
Madam Vice Chair, this is Commissioner Kreitz. I move that we excuse Mr. Chairman Beatty.
Second.
I'll second that.
Having a motion that's been duly seconded, do all in favor signify by verbally saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. At this time, we will get approval for the regular meeting minutes of the April 7th, 2022 meeting. They've been distributed to the commission members, and I'm sure everyone has had a chance to review them. Do we have a motion or any corrections or comments on the meeting minutes?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a motion by Ms. Tavares. It's been seconded by Mr. Knight. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. At this point, I will ask Mr. Richter to give us some information on the preliminary reviews.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, I am off. All right. The first case that I would bring to the commission's attention is case number 2021G-020 Edwards versus 1 Worthington et al. The complaint is asserting that the respondent failed to identify itself as a PAC, should have filed a PAC report or a designation of treasurer and filed subsequent campaign finance reports. We did receive a response from the respondent on that particular case. There was a motion to dismiss submitted to the commission. wherein the respondent identified itself as a 501c4 type of organization, stated that it's essentially allowed to participate in the political arena as a corporation as long as it does so independently. Subsequent to that, we also received a secondary response from the complainant, which was also circulated to all of you for your consideration. I know Mr. McTighe represents the complainant. He is present. I can see him. Mr. Bry filed the submissions to the commission, and I'm not sure if he is present or if there's someone else present for the respondent in this case. I guess I'd ask them to speak up because it's interesting. Because I'm not seeing anyone otherwise responded present on behalf of the respondent. Is there someone present on behalf of the respondent in this case? It appears not. So, Madam Chair, if you wanted to hear from counsel in this case, you can certainly do so. You can see my recommendation is to accept the commission or the commission. My recommendation is to accept the respondent's motion to dismiss. I'd be glad to answer any other questions on that, or if you want to hear from Mr. McTighe, who is present, you can certainly do so.
Would the commission like to hear from Mr. McTighe?
Yeah, I would, please.
Okay, Mr. McTighe.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. As Mr. Richter said, I'm Don McTighe, representing the complainant, Marcia Edwards. So this case, you all may have read or seen stories last year about how all of a sudden Board of Elections, or I'm sorry, Board of Education campaigns, there was a lot more interest in outside groups and third-party groups spending money to influence the results of local Board of Education races. This complaint grows out of that context. Last year, there were several seats up for election at the Worthington County, not Worthington, City of Worthington Education District. And
okay. All right.
There was a significant amount of advertising that went on by a group known as One Worthington, which is the respondent in this case. One Worthington spent funds for multiple mailings to registered voters in the school district, for a slate card, for a door hanger, for yard signs, more than $1,500 in Facebook ads, and also its website. All of these media that I just mentioned contained ads expressly urging people to vote against one of the incumbents, Nikki Hudson, and also expressly urging people to vote for several challengers that were seeking election to the board. So the issue that is before the commission is a really important one, because as far as I know, and as you know, I've been practicing for over 30 years with the commission, I don't think we've had a case dealing with the legal question involved here, and that is the definition of a political action committee. The complaint here alleges that One Worthington operated as a political action committee and failed to register and file reports. That what is important to understand is, or the starting point at least, is the definition of political action committee in the Ohio Revised Code, which is a combination of two or more persons, the primary or major purpose of which is to support or oppose any candidate or to influence the result of any election through express advocacy. So that's the statutory definition. The respondent makes two claims for why the complaint should be dismissed. First, they say they're only one person because they're incorporated. However, this is an argument that I addressed just last year before the commission in another case, which was the Obrensky versus Cleveland Future Fund LLC case. Those commission members who are here today, who were on the commission last year, may recall that the attorney David Langdon, who represented the respondent there, made that argument that the LLC under Ohio law was a single person and therefore could not constitute a political action committee, regardless of how many members it had. My argument at that time, which the commission accepted and moved the case on to a hearing, was that if that is if the commission accepts the reasoning that by incorporating or converting yourself to an LLC, that you are a single person, then that will essentially gut campaign finance law, because we will just take political action committees and we will incorporate them. And they'll no longer be political action committees under state law if you buy that argument. So that argument was rejected by the commission, rightfully so, last year, and I think it should be rejected again this year. Now, in terms of the definition that I read of what constitutes a PAC, there are essentially three elements: combination of two or more persons. Well, it's conceded here, and there's plenty of evidence to show that there are more than two human beings, many more than two human beings who comprise this organization. Second element is that they must support a candidate or engage in express advocacy. There's no rebutting the evidence here, which shows multiple forms of express advocacy, urging the defeat of one candidate and the election of other candidates. So what we're down to is the third element, which is the crucial element, and the one where I think the commission has not ever provided any interpretation or guidance, and that is the primary or major purpose. Is there a primary or major purpose to this combination of people to influence elections? We submitted with the complaint a substantial amount of evidence as to the activity, express advocacy activity, that went on at the November election last year, which certainly raises a presumption that could be a major purpose of this organization, and that it is a major purpose. It's a presumption that it is a major purpose. And what do we have in rebuttal? We really have no evidence in rebuttal other than the motion to dismiss and an affidavit that basically says that it just baldly says that the purpose or that one Worthington's primary purpose has never been about influencing elections. Rather, it goes on to provide oblique references to other activities that one Worthington has engaged in, and they list in education, lobbying, leadership training, public policy analysis, generally providing a forum for civic-minded citizens to promote the common good. Okay, that's all very formulistic, pro forma type of language that a C4 would use to say that its primary purpose is something else. The problem is they haven't submitted any evidence other than making that statement. So they haven't submitted any concrete facts. They haven't submitted anything about how much money they have spent with regard to these other activities, lobbying or public forums, policy analysis. We have no idea whether or not that constitutes half of its budget, more than half of its budget, 2% of its budget. They just haven't given us any information. Rather, they've simply given us pro forma statements. So I would say that we have certainly presented enough evidence to create this presumption that they do have a major purpose or a primary purpose of influencing the results of elections. And they haven't provided anything to the contrary other than to deny it and say, oh, no, we have these other purposes. Okay. So at some point, I think we need some guidance ultimately from the commission. And this case may provide that opportunity is how do you when do you cross the line from being a 501c4 social welfare organization to being a political action committee? And just to understand that a little further, okay? The 501c4, which is often referred to as in connection with elections as a dark money vehicle, okay? That to meet the classification of a 501c4, the IRS requires that your primary purpose be social welfare and not electioneering activity. The definition under state law for a PAC is what I've said before. You have to have a different primary purpose. Your primary or major purpose is to influence the results of elections. That is not social welfare. So how do we get to knowing whether or not this is really a PAC or really a social welfare organization? The only way we get there is by digging into its activities. And by the way, the IRS standard for primary purpose being social welfare isn't necessarily just about money, but they've also said it's about activity. So you have to look at all the activities that occur, the amount of time, the amount of energy, the amount of money. You take all those into consideration. And from there, a decision has to be made on whether or not the group fits the definition under Ohio law of a political action committee. We believe we've submitted more than enough evidence to establish that. The only other thing I would add is that I've mentioned that there is, I'm not aware of any guidance from the commission on this point, but the Secretary of State does have a regulation that provides some help in considering whether or not an entity has a primary purpose of influencing elections. That regulation says that in determining whether a purpose is primary or major, that the following shall be considered: whether the combination of persons receives money or anything else of value in a common account for the specific purpose of supporting candidates, etc., election related. Whether or not they're related to elections, whether the entity was not in existence prior to supporting candidates, and lastly, whether the entity has spent more than $100 on election activity. So I believe that this case certainly warrants setting the matter for a hearing so that discovery can be conducted and a determination made on all the evidence being presented to the commission, and the commission will be able to decide at that point, is there a primary or major purpose of engaging in express advocacy and influencing elections by this group? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McTighe. Do any of the commissioners have questions for Mr. McTighe?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. McTighe, how about the impact of the United States Supreme Court decision and Citizens United. Is that not maybe dispositive of your complaint?
No, Mr. Kreitz, that case basically just said that a corporation can make independent expenditures, okay? That had to do with the fact that federal law prohibited any corporation from not only making monetary contributions or in-kind contributions, but also at that time prohibited corporations from making independent expenditures. The issue was not whether it was a PAC. The issue was whether or not corporate treasury funds could be used for express advocacy. And the court essentially held that there was not a sufficient governmental interest in prohibiting corporations from using their money for express advocacy. So corporations may do that okay, but the issue becomes whether or not they also cross the line into becoming a political action committee and would have to file reports. So you can be a corporation and a PAC, and as long as your activity, if you're a corporation and your activity related to express advocacy is not a major purpose of your corporation, it's not a primary purpose of your corporation, then you're not a PAC. And under Citizens United, we know that you can spend the money.
Thank you.
It's not an either or situation is what I'm saying.
Understand.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I do have a question of Mr. McTighe. My question goes to whether or not One Worthington has acted in any other campaigns in a similar fashion, or have they entered into the fray, so to speak, of supporting an issue or a candidate in prior years, or is this their first year of existence?
Yes, Member Tavares, I'm checking something in the complaint here. It was incorporated in August of 2020. It amended its articles in March of, it was originally incorporated as a 501c3, apparently, which means it would not be allowed to engage in any express advocacy. So in 2020, looks like in March of 2021, it amended the articles to specify it was a C4 organization. So in answer to your question, I'm not aware, that was 2021 that they became a C4. 2021 is the first election that, we know of. They were engaged in the November 2021 elections.
Thank you.
Does any other commissioners have a question or comment? Hearing none, I will, excuse me.
Ms. Kaufman, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see me or not. I'm on my screen. I see you.
Oh, yes, I can see you now.
Do you see me? Yeah, I guess
Yes.
It's a general question or to the commission, I guess. But I'm struggling with this primary activity. So when I look at this, I don't know how I can personally make a decision unless I know how their time is allocated. So for example, I think most folks know law firms, they track their time, say, for 1/10 of an hour. And it's written out what they do for the day, right? There's other organizations like labor unions, where I come from, that we are required to track our political time and our ideological activities. And we literally, if you work, say, 10 hours a day and 2 hours of that was on political activity, then we are required by law to make that what's called non-chargeable, which would come off someone's dues if they objected to political or ideological activity. So it seems to me that, at least for me, I need to know from the respondent here, simple things like how many hours do they work? What's their calendar of events? How many hours do they spend on lobbying? Do they have a registered lobbyist? They have in their affidavit at 4 that they do education, lobbying, leadership training. I would like to know from them, who are they training, number one, and how many hours in the scheme of all hours that they have are dedicated to that. And for every piece here, because when I look at the website, I don't see anything like that. I've looked at the website and it just, to me, it personally looks just like political activity. So unless I can have somebody respond to that, it's difficult for me to make a decision as to, as the director, executive director has recommended. So that's where I'm at with it. I just wanted to share that with the committee. I don't know how they get their public policy analysis. Do they hire somebody? Do they do it? Or are they just attaching some missive from a think tank? I don't know. So there's a lot of, to me, there's a lot of unanswered questions here. Thank you.
I'd like to add, Madam Chair, I'd like to add a little bit to that. So, you know, I live my life in the private sector, and, you know, the website is traditionally your living, breathing, right, marketing piece where you know, your customer, whoever that customer is or isn't, would, you know, go to the website and understand what you do. And, you know, I spent some time on the website. I could find nothing on public policy analysis, nothing on education. I mean, nothing on anything but advocacy for, you know, a certain, you know, set of for and against clients for the Worthington School Board. So without, I mean, unless the commission wants to uphold a situation where, you know, every corporation, a PAC can just become a corporation to avoid filing PAC-related reports, unless that is the viewpoint. I mean, I certainly would find it challenged to dismiss this case without at least asking many of the questions and perhaps more that Commissioner Lyle just referenced out of the respondent.
Madam Chair, may I ask the question of the executive director?
Yes, of course, Mr. Kreitz.
Phil, in light of the discussion we're having here today, and in light of the arguments that are put forth by Mr. McTighe, what are your thoughts about setting this matter down for a full hearing?
You're muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't hear you, Phil.
I think I am now unmuted. Let me give it a second here and we'll see, because I tried to unmute once and then it remuted again. Sorry about that. I respect Mr. McTighe's comments and his presentation to the commission. I get credit with being, you know, a long-standing person in the area of campaign finance. Mr. McTighe has me has been involved about 10 years longer than I have, so I have to defer to him in some regards. I appreciate what the commission is saying. If that's what the commission wants to do, I'm certainly not going to sit here and say don't do it. I understand and respect the arguments that Mr. McTighe has made. I just look at this case as being a classic Citizens United type of situation. I appreciate his arguments. He, in his response to you, Mr. Kreitz, Mr. McTighe indicated that, you know, well, the Citizens United decision essentially just said that, you know, what it allowed was corporate treasury funds can be used for express advocacy. Well, based on the response that we received of materials and what I have looked at, I see a 501c4 corporation that has used its corporate treasury funds for express advocacy. And so to me, as I look at it, I see that, it's a classic citizen case. Again, I respect the arguments that he's placed forward here as it relates to what we're addressing here today. If the commission, though, has other concerns and wants to move it forward, you certainly have the ability to do so. I'm confident with my recommendation. I may not be overjoyed at what the Supreme Court did when it decided Citizens United, or wholly supportive of the position that they took, but that's the position that they took. Ohio's corporate contribution limitation statute 359903 is very similar to the federal statute. I'm presuming at least that when it was enacted, Ohio essentially took the federal statute and brought it local. And so to me, that's what applies. And that's why I'm recommending that we approve the motion to dismiss. But whatever the commission wants to do, it's your decision.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question for the executive director as well.
Yep, go ahead.
Mr. Richter, if the commission had direct evidence that displayed that the primary purpose of One Worthington was, advocacy toward this election, right? Say 90% of all of their expenses and activities and whatnot showed that as an example, would that change your recommendation?
Off the cuff, I'm not sure that I would be inclined to change, to be honest with you, because again, I look at this as corporate activity that has been allowed by the decision Citizens United, but it's certainly possible that the evidence could show otherwise. I have made recommendations before with which the commission disagreed, went to full hearing, and made a totally different decision than my recommendation. So I stand by my recommendation, but I understand the questions you're asking. But at this point, I look at this as a Citizens United classic case.
Okay. Thank you.
Any
Madam
other
Chair,
commissioners with
Madam Chair, Commissioner Kreitz again, I apologize for interrupting. It seems to me that Mr. Richter may very well be correct. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just simply saying that based upon the state of the record, the fact that we don't have a full evidentiary record in this case, it's difficult for me to say that I agree with Mr. Richter or that I agree with Mr. McTighe. And so for me, I believe that it's important for this commission to set the matter down for a full evidentiary hearing. Let's flesh out all the evidence. Let's hear all the evidence in this case, and then let's make a decision. It seems to me, and I would agree to this extent with Mr. McTighe, that this may be one of those kinds of cases that we need to come up with some instruction and some direction and some guidance. So I don't see how that we can do that if we don't have a fully developed evidentiary record. So I would support a referral to this, or this matter be set down for a full evidentiary hearing. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair, if that's a motion, I would second it.
Wait, can we have that put in the form of a motion if someone would like to do so, Mr. Kreitz?
All right, just so I have to apologize. This is a Navy house, and we've got neighbors down the road that are in the Air Force, and when they walk down the street, our dogs go nuts. So I apologize.
Is your dog making a motion, Mr. Kreitz?
Yeah.
I think so.
Your coworkers like mine a little noisy.
All right, I apologize to the commission and to everyone else. I would make a motion that we refer this matter for a full evidentiary hearing at the convenience of council.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Tavares seconds. Having a motion with that's been duly seconded. All in favor of moving Mr. Kreitz motion, signify by raising your hand saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0.
Nope, 6-0. Remember, we're missing
I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Beatty today.
Yep,
That will
6-0.
matter. I'll work with council on setting a date to have that matter set for hearing. Thank you, Mr. McTighe.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. The next item up is Cunningham versus Thompson, case number 2022G-002. And I believe Mr. Richter is going to give us an overview on this as well.
Yeah, this case, and when the commission addressed an unrelated case with similar parties back in January, it had questions about this matter. It was brought at that time. That case was a disclaimer case in terms of failure to include a proper disclaimer in literature. This is a campaign finance related case in terms of failure to file campaign finance reports and then subsequent reports required under the statute. We got the complaint. There has not been a response. I reached out to the staff at the Allen County Board of Elections yesterday and had a lengthy discussion with them concerning what the status of reports. And they indicated that no designation of treasurer, no report, nothing has been filed on this case. And so my recommendation, and Mr. Hughes, I've looked and there's nobody listed here as being present for this matter. Mr. Hughes has kind of asked a subsequent question. I don't believe anyone is present. We'll give them a chance to speak up if they are after I'm done rambling on. But my recommendation to the commission is to find that there's violation and impose a fine of $25 per day, but giving the respondent the ability to have the matter reconsidered once the filings are made. And so that's my recommendation. If there are any other questions, I'll be glad to answer them. If anyone is present here, please speak up at this point, but it doesn't appear that anyone's present. Okay, no one appears to have spoken, Ms. Kaufman, so.
Hearing Mr. Richter's recommendation, any questions by commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Lyles,
Second.
second by Mr. Knight.
I'll
I
clarify.
presume Mr. Lyle's motion is to accept my recommendation.
It is. I'm sorry. That's on me. I should have stated that.
Oh,
And that
I
Mr.
apologize.
Knight
I just went
seconds
with it
that
too.
motion.
So,
And I just seconded it, so, you know.
Okay.
Having a motion that's been duly seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Okay. The last of these types of the preliminary reviews is 2022D-011, and I believe Mr. Falcone is here with us.
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, Madam Chair, members of the commission. This was a self-referral. Mr. Falcone reached out to me a while ago. We discussed his situation as it related to circulating materials without a disclaimer. He asked that this matter be moved forward as promptly as possible, so I put it on today's meeting. Forward, he is present if the commission would like to hear from him further. My recommendation to the commission is to find that there is a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. Can you highlight him? I'm not. Okay, yeah, Mr. Hughes is highlighting Mr. Falcone, so he should appear for everybody here if the commission would like to hear from him.
Yeah. Would the commission like to hear from Mr. Falcone, or would Mr. Falcone like to make a statement?
If I can just make a short statement, I believe I submitted.
We need to swear the witness.
First,
If you would raise your
swear
right hand and be sworn, do you swear or affirm that the statement you're about to give the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I'm a candidate right now. I submitted my piece of literature to be circulated with the disclaimer. And unfortunately, when it went to the printer, there was probably some kind of mix-up in which the disclaimer was left off. And then unfortunately, it got mailed out to everybody. Within an hour after I found out that it was mailed out, I contacted Mr. Richter and wanted to report about the situation, and that's why we're here today.
Questions from, comments from commissioners? Thank you for your statement. Hearing no questions or comments, do we have a motion?
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor to follow the recommendation of the executive director signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Mr. Falcone. Madam Chair, I'm going to interject right at the moment. And as I indicated to you, I provided you with a picture, hopefully it's readable, of the sign-in sheet that Mr. Hughes developed. And for anybody out there, if you're toward the bottom of the sign-in sheet, sorry, but it was just the way in which we took them in. And so, Madam Chair, members of the commission, I'm going to work through the sign-in sheet that has been provided to me. And I will identify where the case is on the recommendation sheet, look at the ICW related to that particular case, and restate my recommendation. If the commission wants to, let's say, go in a different direction from my recommendation, you can certainly do so. And so that's my kind of lead into where we are. The first case listed is 2022 R-034. It is on the no violation listing. In looking at the response, this is Catherine, and if I butcher your name, I apologize. If you'd take care of highlighting, I'd appreciate it. Catherine Kovaru Bias.
It's Covarrubias.
Covarrubias. Thank you
Yes.
very much, because I knew I was going to do that, and I apologize. Anyway, she was referred for a late file or a failure to file the post general report, but when she submitted a response, she submitted a copy that reflects a file December 6th, 2021, the due date being December 10th. So my recommendation is to find no violation in this particular case. Ms. Covarrubias. Oh, I know.
Yes, I know.
Boy, I am sorry. If you'd like to make a statement, you could be sworn, although I'm not. Is she pictured on yours? She's not pictured on mine. Your webcam isn't working. I noticed I'd seen you earlier. You could be sworn, or if you want to go along with the recommendation, you could certainly do so.
Give me just one moment. Let me see if I can turn it on.
I apologize. My name is Karen Washington. I don't know if you can hear me. Hopefully my mic is on.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm representing Ms. Covarrubias in this case. So I just I know she's trying to connect right now with her webcam. But if I can just make a statement on her behalf in case, in the meantime, I guess.
I'd say, Madam Chair, if you're okay with that, please go ahead. I don't know that there's much more that could be added, but please proceed.
There we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
She's on camera now, so she can go ahead.
If she wants to make a statement, she'll need to be sworn.
Right. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to say to the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Yes, so thank you so much for reviewing the documentation that I sent over. I did complete all the forms and send in my bank statements on time. In fact, a few days before they were due, as you can see with the information that I provided. Is there anything else that you would like me to go over, or any questions for me in regards to that?
Do the commissioners have any questions? I feel like at this point there are none. So we have Mr. Richter's recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director and find no violation.
I'll second that.
Having a motion that's been duly seconded, all in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you so much for your time.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Ms. Washington, before you, this is
Yeah.
the only case you were here on, correct, Ms. Washington?
That is correct.
Okay, because you were on the list. You were toward the bottom of the list, and I just wanted to make sure, so we've taken care of you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next cases I am going to call to the commission's attention is headed off by case number 2022R-015. But it will also include 2022R-0 and 2022R-065. Now, I don't believe Rosalind Moore on 065 is present here today, but according to my notes, Connie Rosemond, the respondent in 2022R-015 is present, and Tina Stafford Marbury, who is from case number 2022R-020, is also present. I'm bringing those cases all up, not that we need to act on them collectively, but in their responses, they all indicated that they were working collectively as they ran for a position. The responses were all similar. If you look at the responses that I have reflected in the ICWs, there were multiple allegations against them, and from failure to include a proper disclaimer to failure to file certain, or late filing, I believe, of certain campaign finance reports. And so my reason for calling them before you all at this time together is because I believe they all should be treated the same way as an end result. And so, you know, if the commission is going to accept my recommendation, which I'll repeat here in a second, I believe that should be done for all three cases. If, on the other hand, the commission wants to go in a different direction and impose either a different fine, lesser fine, or to find good cause, it's my opinion that all three cases, is again, since they ran together and since they were kind of accumulated, I would recommend that the commission do that. So with that as a lead-in, my recommendation to the commission, based on the materials, the fact that reports have been filed and that responses have been received from all the parties, is to find a violation and impose a $100 fine in each case. And so now if the commission, I guess first, if it wants to hear from Ms. Rosemond, since she's been highlighted, Ms. Rosemond, if you would like to address the commission, I would have you sworn and you can make a statement to the commission. If you don't want to, that's fine too. That's your choice. But if you want to you're muted. You need to unmute yourself. And then I would ask you to, that what you're about to say to the commission, do you swear or affirm that it is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay.
I do.
You remuted yourself like I did before, so you're showing as muted on my screen, so you might want to make sure you're unmuted before you start talking.
There you go.
It keeps going back muted. I don't know why.
I think if you
You're good
click on
now.
it twice quickly, that happens. That's what I did. So please go ahead. You're unmuted at this point.
Oh, okay. Oh, I just wanted to address the commission and just say that we, our campaigns were, or at least my campaign, I originally started out running separately, you know, by myself, and then we just kind of decided to do something that unaware that we were creating a group. Just was totally oversight on our part with the running of our campaigns, and disclaimers were also an oversight. We did have them on our individual materials. Somehow they were omitted on our one postcard that we had with all of our photos on it. So just wanted to say that we just did something unaware of what the rules were.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Rosemond?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, were you finished? Oh, she's okay. Any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Richter, are we going to hear from the others, or should we go ahead and take a motion and?
Why don't we hear briefly from, yeah, Ms. Stafford Marbury. And then we could, I would say again, I would recommend addressing each case individually. Are you highlighting, Chris? Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay. Ms. Stafford Marbury, if you want to make a statement, you need to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You sound like I sounded earlier in the week. Good luck.
I'm sorry. I hope you can hear me. I'm trying really hard. Can you hear me clearly?
We can, yes, go ahead.
As clearly as you can
Thank
speak,
you.
yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so I concur with Ms. Rosemond's further statement, but additionally, there was issue with my designation of treasurer that when I did my designation of treasurer, but when I paid my portion to assist in the materials that were purchased prior to us joining together, I did pay those funds because we had become a team, but those things were purchased prior to my designation of treasurer, which then put me, which then put me out of compliance. So that would be the reason for that. And it's to the commission for having to come before you with the situation, but clearly to be fully upfront, I put in that I had paid those funds, and that's what took me out of compliance, as opposed to just paying those funds and not disclosing that I had spent those funds on my campaign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, and then Ms. Moore isn't with us, correct?
I was going to say, we can double check. Is Ms. Moore present? Whoa, that's some serious bells there.
Yeah.
I am going to stick with my recommendation of finding a violation, imposing a $100 fine at each of the cases. Although what I will say is, if the commission member, after hearing their statements, wants to do something else other than that, I'm certainly not going to offer any objection to that.
Mr. Richter, Madam Chair, can I ask Mr. Richter a question?
Mr. Vars, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mr. Richter, my question is, have there been any violations for any of the 3 candidates for office prior to these violations?
Ms. Stafford did, and it's reflected in the ICW, but Ms. Rosemond and Ms. Moore did not. And so there's one reason to handle that. That's one reason why we could handle them separately as well. But again, considering their mutual work together here, I've kind of thrown them all in the same boat, as it were. But yes, Ms. Stafford Marbury did have case number 2021R-047, in which the commission found a violation and imposed a $50 fine, which has been paid. And that was for failing to file an addendum to a 2019 Post General report.
Madam Chair, in light of that information, I mean, we're already going to separate the cases, but I think they're for the 2 individuals who did not have priors, I would recommend that we go with a different amount.
I'll interject then. Why don't you go ahead and make a recommendation on, we'll just deal with them in order. Ms. Rosemond's case first, then we'll take Ms. Marbury, Stafford Marbury, and then we can take Ms. Moore's, because they all had their filings in and they all submitted responses.
Madam Chair, I'll move that we find a violation for Ms. Rosemond, but offer a fine of $50 and not refer to any further prosecution.
Second.
Okay. So on case number 2022R-015, we have a motion by Commissioner Tamaro, seconded by Commissioner Kreitz. All in favor, raise your hand, right hand, and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Okay. So the next case then would be Miss Stafford Marbury, 2022 R-020. Do we have a motion on that?
Which was. Let me get to the case.
You have my recommendation out there.
I move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to follow the recommendation of the executive director with a second. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, and then the next one, case number 2022 R-065. Do we have a motion on this case?
Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and find a violation and impose a fine of $50.
I'll second.
I'll second that. Sorry.
So we have a motion duly seconded. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, ladies, very much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next case, as we work down our list of persons signed in, is an accumulation of cases that involve David Barker, 2021 R-087, 2020 R-381, 2019 R-131, 2018 R-577. These are all under on the reconsideration list. I think the first one on the reconsideration list, where I'm recommending the commission reconsider all outstanding matters, vacate the previous impositions of the per diem fines, and instead impose a fine of $300. A response was submitted. All reports, let me find it. There we go. Reports have been filed as of February. I synopsized the nature of the reports that have been provided to the commission and made my recommendation. Mr. Barker, if you would like to address the commission, I can have you sworn. You can make an additional statement. Do you swear or affirm that what you are about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
It's my first time coming on here. Just here to fall on my sword and listen to the recommendation of the board. I did hire an attorney. I forwarded all the correspondence that I received to them. They were supposed to have helped me fill out all the paperwork. They did not, up until the last one you just received from the Cuyahoga County Elections Board. At this time, I hope that this would be the end of it and that we could be done with this. This started in 2017 where I didn't know all the rules. Blue collar, I jumped into a run for ward council in Bay Village, Ohio. Didn't know all the rules. Thought I was going to be able to be self-funded. I checked the wrong box, and that's what started this whole process. I did take the course for the financial purposes at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. I didn't understand the whole process, and honestly still don't understand the whole process. Trying to be self-funded and not take anything from anybody and just try to help my city. I do apologize for, my attorney not doing what I asked them to do. So I thank you at this time.
Are there any questions from the commissioners for Mr. Barker? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director, reconsider all outstanding matters, vacate previous impositions of per diem fines and instead impose a fine of $300.
I'll
have a second?
second that. I'll second it.
That was Mr.
Thank you.
Lyle.
Right.
Okay. Having a motion that's been duly seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barker.
Thank you, sir.
The next case I would bring to the commission is case number 2022 R-021, George Stephen Tietzel. It is in the $100 fine category. The primary reason why it's in the $100 fine category is that there was no response submitted to the commission. And so if Mr. Tietzel is present, sworn, and makes a statement to the commission, I could change my recommendation, could potentially change my recommendation based on the nature of the statement provided. Mr. Tietzel, I presume you want to be sworn. If you would swear or affirm that what you are about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Please proceed.
Okay, so basically I worked a job where I was working about 65 hours a week. Didn't really have, I'm a truck driver at that time. Didn't have time to get to the Board of Elections to turn anything in. Totally forgot about it until 2 days before. I went to go mail it in finally, and I submitted the, I put it in the mailbox on the 8th, thinking it'd get there by the 10th, and it due, and it was received on the 13th. So that's basically how it went down. Shot myself in the foot, and I'm willing to accept whatever it is that's making it.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I would update my recommendation based on the statement provided, and particularly the fact that the response was submitted essentially within 3 days of the due date for filing, that the commission still find a violation because the report was late, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. I'd be glad to answer any other questions you would have.
Madam Chair, I would move the recommendation of the executive director.
Second. So we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you
for your service.
Thank you. Mr. Tietzel, thank you. Case number 2022 R-053, Gina Huffman. My recommendation on that case, you would find it in the $50 fine category. Ms. Huffman did file reports. She also submitted a response to the commission. The primary basis for my recommendation of a $50 fine is that while the due date for the designation of treasurer was around late October, it wasn't filed until December 7th. And so you have my recommendation. If after she makes a further statement, if the commission would like to do something different, I am not going to have a problem with that. Ms. Huffman, I would presume you will make a statement. So if you would be sworn, do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Yes, thank you to the Ohio Election Committee for hearing my statement and reading my materials. Initially, when I ventured into this campaign, I was to be part of a group who had much more experience than me in these filings. But of course, as competition became evident, everyone decided to do their own thing. So I was left to do this on my own, as you can see from my materials and my statement. I did not properly file at a timely manner, but I did file all the forms. I was taken aback when I found out that I did not get them in time. And after review and research of, the county's website and the Ohio Elections Commission's information and their website, I understand where I erred. hopefully that's taken into consideration as you think about if I am going to be fined for this. I take this very seriously, and that is my statement.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners?
Mr. Richter, do you still stand by your recommendation, sir?
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
I move to accept the recommendation of the executive director.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huffman. Appreciate it. The next case I'll bring to the commission is on the continued list. It is case number 2022R-047, Aaron Gooch. At the time I was preparing materials for this particular case, there had been there was not good service reflected in the commission's file on the case. This is a case for failure to file the 2021 Post General Report. In order for the commission to in order for me to update my recommendation, it would take some evidence that the report has been filed along with the statement from Ms. Gooch. I did not check with the Board of Elections that the filing had been submitted. At the time that the board sent this referral to us at the end of January, it had not been filed. Ms. Gooch, if you would like to address the commission, though, you could be sworn. If you would raise your right hand. And if you swear or affirm that what you are about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, or nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please proceed.
So when I initially decided to run for Chagrin Falls School Board, I entered into it as an individual, and two other moms decided to run with me. So when we initially filled out our paperwork on the, the first set of paperwork, I was entered in as the trustee for whatever money was raised, and it was called Elect Aaron Gooch. Shortly after the three of us decided to run, we teamed together, and Save Chagrin Schools was formed. With the Save Chagrin Schools being formed, Jack Withrow then became our treasurer. And the three of us, myself, Mandy Hilston, and Megan McLean, said from the beginning that we did not want to be touching any of the money and be responsible for any of the money. So Jack Withrow, who again was our treasurer, he took over all of that. And we were under the assumption that he was the one filing all of the paperwork on our behalf. When we got the information from the state in early January, Jack started corresponding with Rosemary Amato from the Cuyahoga Board of Elections and working with her to try to figure out where the disconnect was. In all honesty, it was just lack of knowledge on my part. I'd never done anything like this before, and I certainly didn't intend to do anything that was against the rules as far as running goes. So since then, I've filled out the paperwork that Rosemary Amato had wanted us to fill out, and Jack's been helping us take the lead on what we needed to do as far as the state level was concerned.
Thank you.
I'm going to interject. So, Ms. Gooch, again, I had a different listing of persons related to this. Ms. Amato, I didn't have you listed here. I had Mandy Hilston, Jeffrey Lycan, and Megan McLean, but Mr. Lycan is not involved in that, I guess, and you are with the Save Chagrin situation.
So Save Chagrin Schools was set up to help financial backing for myself, Aaron Gooch, Mandy Hilston, and then Megan McLean. Okay. And I believe Jack Withrow is on right now. Again, he knows more about all of the financial doings than myself. But as far as not filing paperwork on time. Again, there was definitely a disconnect when I initially filled out the paperwork. It was under the Elect Aaron Gooch fund, and I was listed as the treasurer when Save Chagrin Schools was formed. Jack Withrow became the treasurer, and then, you know, he was handling all the monetary stuff for myself, Mandy, and Megan.
Chris, I like Hilson too. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Withrow, we'll get to you in a minute. Again, Ms. Gooch, you did file all the reports. I mean, we like to have assurance from the board that that's been the case. When did you file those reports?
So the report that was filed was on behalf of Save Chagrin Schools. I don't think, I did not file anything individually as Aaron Gooch until I submitted paperwork to Rosemarie Amato within the past 2 weeks. And that was because I didn't know that I had to, because all of our funding was going through Save Chagrin Schools and not through Elect Aaron Gooch.
Okay, but you did create a campaign committee under your own name.
Initially, yes, sir.
Elect Aaron Gooch. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm kind of taking over here, Ms. Kaufman. I hope you don't mind. But Ms. Hilston, I'm going to ask you to be sworn at this point. If you would raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because I mean, Ms. Gooch, you can listen in. I got and maybe I screwed up and had the wrong case number listed with it, but I got an email from Ms. Amato that asked me to continue your case, now your case, Ms. Gooch, but she indicated there were 3 persons that were affiliated with the Save Chagrin Schools group that she asked to be continued until that matter was resolved. And so that's what I was planning to do today. And somehow I had linked that Jeffrey Lycan with it. Ms. Hilston, you were involved. So you filed a designation of treasurer. What's your case number? 6051. Okay, hold on one second. You created the Elect Mandy Hilston committee by filing a designation of treasurer?
Correct. So Aaron and I went down to the to file together, and when we were unsure of that box of what to put in there, so the woman at the counter kind of gave us an idea of what to put in there. So both of us put in, you know, elect and then our names. So that is how that came to be, with our names in there. But like Aaron said, once we filed everything, Save Chagrin Schools was formed, and everything.
Okay. Okay. Have you subsequently filed any reports with the Board of Elections?
So I did the same paperwork that Aaron did within the past 2 weeks from Rosemarie. So everything that we were supposed to turn in, we've turned in.
Okay. And I guess, and I'll ask this to both of you, the materials that you submitted to the board within the last couple of weeks, as you've indicated, did you terminate those campaign committees or do they remain open?
Jack, can Jack enter into this? Because
Hey, Chris,
he's the one that was
call
helping us
Rosemarie
with
and
this.
see if you can call Rosemarie and check status on those. On Hilston, Gooch, and McLean. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You know, I'm not really sure. Jack Withrow was the one that was helping us. He was the one communicating with Rosemarie and then relaying all the information to us, since he was running the financials for us. So he might be able to answer those questions better than we can.
And that very well be the case. And I haven't it in a moment, but, and I'm not trying to be dismissive here, but, you know, if you first set up a campaign committee and create it, something has to be done with it at some point in terms of either continuing to file reports on into the future or terminating that committee. And while since you created those, even if you subsequently tried to work everything through the Save Chagrin Schools group you're talking about, those committees remain open and outstanding. And something needs to be done with those. And that's why I wanted to talk to you two first about what your status was as it relates to those. I appreciate that there was a linkage, as you said, to the Save Chagrin group, but let's say that Mr. Withrow did file and take care of everything as it relates to the Save Chagrin group. That doesn't specifically deal with your campaign committees that you opened. And so that's the reason for my questioning as it relates to what your status is and what you have filed with the board, even if he filed it for you, which is certainly possible.
Am I allowed to?
That's kind of where, yeah, go ahead, Ms. Gooch.
Okay. So you're obviously shedding some light on all of this right now for us. The paperwork that we filled out in the past few weeks was an Ohio campaign finance report for our individuals. So elect Aaron Gooch, elect Mandy Hilston, and elect Megan McLean. So that was the one piece of paperwork. The other piece of paperwork that we filed was for in-kind contributions received, and that was through the Save Chagrin schools. So if I'm hearing you correctly, my guess is we have not officially terminated, our individual campaigns, and it's not because we don't want to. It's because I don't think we knew that we needed to.
Understood, and a lot of people get into that circumstance. It appears, Ms. Gooch, that you're looking at the actual campaign finance report that you filed.
I'm looking at the paperwork that I filled out within the past 2 weeks. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, if you go about a third of the way down the page, you will see a place there where it says termination.
I did not check that box. I checked. Yeah,
Understood.
I did not check that box.
And that's a decision that you have to make, and that is one of those things where, you know, I'll throw him under the bus in this conversation. When Governor Mike DeWine's campaign committee files its campaign finance reports, and it files an annual report, or it files a post-general report, he does not check that termination box, obviously, because he's going to run again in the future, and you could list that for anybody else. And I don't know what your status is or what you want to do, but if you are done with that committee and you want to terminate it, then you have to file an additional report. Check that. You have to be at a zero balance as well. You check that termination box and it closes your campaign committee. Alternatively, and I don't know if you won or lost, and that's not relevant, honestly, to this, but if you had won, and let's say you're going to run again in 4 years, and you want to keep that campaign committee open, you don't have to check that termination box, and the committee remains open. But then you're obligated to file all of the subsequent reports through the years, whether it's a mid-year, whether it's an annual, whether it's a general, post-general, if you have any other activity. You know, just be aware of that is kind of where I'm coming from. And that was the basis for some of my questions here is, you know, what's your status? And to help you understand that as well. And obviously she's not here, but Ms. McLean would need to be apprised of that as well.
Yes, sir.
Your hand, if you would, is what you're about to say to the commission the truth, the whole truth? Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to say to the commission is the truth, whole truth, or nothing but the truth?
Yes, I so swear.
Thank you very much. Now, I know you submitted a response to the commission and you got the report filed, because my recommendation to the commission on this particular case is to find a violation and impose a $50 fine. Again, the report was filed. It was filed shortly after the due date, but it was late, and there was a prior case involving this group in which there was an allegation of the late filing of a designation of treasurer, in which at our February meeting, the commission found a violation, did not impose a fine. So if there's anything else that you would like to say to the commission as it relates to any of this, and any other clarification as it relates to Ms. Gooch or Ms. Hilston's case, I would appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Richter, and Madam Chair and members of the commission. As stated before, this was a grassroots effort. The 3 candidates came forward, and then a group of the citizens in Chagrin Falls came together to essentially fund their campaign for all 3. So we did some things. Obviously, we recognize we made some technical violations. We've not been in this space before. I do think that when any of those were brought to our attention, we worked as quickly as we possibly could to rectify and remedy the the items that were cited against us. And I'd particularly like to thank on our behalf, Rosemary Amato at the Board of Elections. She was very helpful in taking us through all these steps and all these processes. With respect to the question about the termination of the individual candidates, Safe Chagrin Schools did file and did attempt to file timely. We missed the 16th, the December 13th deadline, and filed on the 16th simply because I thought the date was the 16th, and so I was in error there. Went through the review with Ms. Amato. She pointed out to me the proper way to reflect our receipts and our payments, and then allocate those a third each to the three candidates as contributions in kind. So I met with Ms. Amato in the last couple of weeks. I actually delivered amended reports this past Monday. I also delivered the candidates' individual reports. I do recall, I don't have my reports in front of me. I do recall that on the Safe Chagrin Schools reports, I reflected those as final reports and terminations. I don't recall whether the box was checked for the individuals, but that certainly was the intention. I would say if upon Ms. Amato's final review of those things, I've endeavored to do everything she's asked under her direction. Again, very helpful and very appreciative of her time spent with us, and hope that we're at a point where we can resolve anything with maybe any final technical filings we have to make.
Does anyone have questions for anyone present on this matter? Okay, Mr. Richter.
I am going to make recommendations on all of these matters, and I think we'll go through them individually, and we'll take them in the order in which we were originally addressing. And the commission has any other questions, please feel free to ask. And I'm also kind of stretching your recommendation. I'll get to that one at the end. First, as it relates to Ms. Gooch, like I said, considering this was on a continued list, I did have Mr. Hughes be in contact with staff at the Cuyahoga County Board, who reflected that there were reports filed that are still undergoing review, but the report has been filed. Considering they have indicated that the report has been filed, Ms. Gooch made a statement here, and considering all the facts and circumstances of this case, of these cases, I guess I should say, I would recommend to the commission, as it relates to case number 2022R-047, that the commission find a violation, but for good cause not impose a fine, or refer the matter for further prosecution.
Madam Chair, I'd move the recommendation of the executive director in the case of Ms. Gooch.
Second.
We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Next, I'm going to take us to case number 2022R-051, the case of Mandy Hilston. Again, based on her response and the fact that we got confirmation from the Board of Elections, I'm going to recommend that the commission find that there is a violation, but for good cause not impose a fine, or refer the matter for further prosecution.
Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye, raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Next, I'm going to go. Oh, sorry. I'm getting a little quick there. Sorry.
Motion passes.
The next, I'm going to go to case number 2022R-023, the Safe Chagrin Schools. I'm going to maintain my recommendation there for that the commission find that there's a violation and impose a fine of $50.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
We have a motion that's been, Mr. Knight, yeah. That's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
And now this is the stretch recommendation make, considering she has not made a statement to the commission. We can see where it goes from there. But based on the information provided by Ms. Hilston, by Ms. Gooch, by Mr. Withrow, and in an effort to try and equitably deal with all three related persons, I'm going to make a recommendation in case number 2022 R-02062, the case of Megan McLean, because again, the board has confirmed that a report has been filed. I'm going to recommend that the commission find a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution.
Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion that's been duly seconded. Yes, duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. So thank you all very much for coming and being so patient.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for helping us through the process.
Thank you. And remember, ladies, those committees are remaining open. So if you want to terminate, make sure you go about terminating.
Will do. Thank
Taking
you.
care of highlighting, etc. Next case I'm going to bring to the commission's attention is case number 2022 R-066. Heather Morrison. It is under the $50 fine category. I'm trying to get to that recommendation as we speak. Ms. Morrison was referred for a late filing of a designation, improper or missing disclaimer. A response was submitted. We have that response. I've synopsized it for you. The due date for the designation was in June, essentially. The designation was filed in September. You can see the statement that I've synopsized. Ms. Morrison, if you'd like to further address the commission, I can ask you to raise your hand. You're muted right at the moment. Raise your hand, be sworn. If you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed then.
So I was going to run my campaign with only using my own funds. I was not asking for any funds. So I did not realize that I had to designate a treasurer until I went to a training where they, gave that information. And so as soon as I heard that, I contacted Cuyahoga County Board of Elections and asked them. And when they told me I needed to, I then did file the designation for the treasurer. So I apologize. That was a total just neglect on myself. So I totally understand any fine that would be imposed on me.
Questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Phil, does your recommendation still remain the same?
Yes.
I move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much. The next case that I would bring to the commission's attention is a reconsideration matter. There are two cases, 2021 S-001 and 2021 S-030 that were consolidated. Jacob Wagner is the treasurer for that committee. My recommendation is that we reconsider those consolidated cases, vacate the previous imposition of the per diem fines, and instead find there is good cause present not to impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. As I indicated in my synopsis, which I prepared, Mr. Wagner submitted a rather lengthy response to the commission concerning the status of the case. I will take some responsibility indicating that I had tried to work with Mr. Wagner, indicating that there would be a continuance. We went forward on the case. I don't know if I want to say it wasn't granted, but we went forward on the case. Had he been given the opportunity to file a response in a timely fashion with a continuance, this would have been a good cause recommendation. So I'm recommending out of the ordinary on reconsideration matters, again, that after we reconsider it and vacate the previous impositions of the fine, that we find good cause. Mr. Wagner, if you would like to address the commission further, you could be sworn, or if you would like to be sworn, or you're okay with that recommendation, we can just go forward.
Is the recommendation for a fine?
No, it is to find that there's good cause not to impose a fine.
Okay, I'm fine with that recommendation. Thank you.
Okay. So if the commission has any other questions of me, I'd be glad to answer those questions.
Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt. Actually, Mr. Richter had told me that there was a possibility that the commission could declare the committee terminated.
Very good point. That is a part of my recommendation as listed. I didn't state it here. You're correct. I am also recommending that the commission declare the committee terminated because the records are missing. It's not possible to subsequently file or to file any kind of campaign finance reports. And so that is a part of my recommendation to the commission. It's written here. I forgot to mention it.
Thank
you.
Mr. Lyles, do you still move the recommendation of the executive director with that?
I do.
Do we have a second?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Thank you, members of the commission. The next case I would bring to the commission's attention is case number 2022-R-045, Joseph Gambatese. Let me get to that case. There are two persons present. Mr. Gambatese, he also has counsel who is present with him. My recommendation, find it. I seem to have floated away. There we go. My recommendation is to find that there's a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. The report, the explanation considered medical reasons and other distractions that led to the late report. And so that's my recommendation. If Mr. Gambatese would like to further address the commission, or if his counsel is going to speak for him, I would ask you to be, Mr. Gambatese, if you wanted to say, I would ask you to be sworn. If you would raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please, then go ahead.
Well, no, at this time, my counsel had to drop off, but I will take the recommendation that was provided. So I have no dispute. And thank you.
Any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
I think
So
that
we
was Ms.
have-
Hagan that got in first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your
Thank you.
patience.
The next case I would bring to the commission's attention is 2022-R-056. It is in the $50 fine category. It's for the referral is for a late filing of the Post General Report, which was due on December 10th, 2021. It was filed on April 1st, 2022. Candidate since the candidate was running for school board spent less than 200. She did not believe that a campaign finance report was required. Once the notice was received, she filed the report. Ms. King, if you would like to further address the commission, I can have you sworn. You've heard my recommendation, though. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Yes. In 2020, I was appointed to the Garfield Heights City School Board, and subsequently had to run to maintain my seat in 2021. And my understanding and interpretation of the campaign finance law was that if I was under the threshold of $2,000, I did not have to file a campaign finance report. I did keep records of all of the donations coming in and my expenditures, which were two. I had a total of $580 that I received, and I had two expenditures for T-shirts and cards that went out. So I have a balance of approximately $85. So it was my understanding, and at this point, I understand that what I understood was not correct, and since then have filed my report. So I wanted to come before you just to share and affirm the statement that I submitted, and to confirm that I did follow up and submit my campaign finance report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a
Second by Ms.
motion that's
Hagan.
been duly, yes. We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you so much for coming on and being patient.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next case I bring to the commission's attention is 2022 R-016. Melanie Sanders, referral for late filing of a post-general report, failure to file a designation of treasurer. So multiple dates outstanding. The reports were filed on March 8th. The commission did submit, or the candidate did submit a response. Considering there were multiple allegations involved here, including a missing or improper disclaimer, my recommendation to the commission is to find a violation and impose a $100 fine. If the commission decide, if after hearing Ms. Sanders, I presume she's still available, the commission wanted to do a different, make a different finding in her case, I don't have any problem with that, but that's my recommendation at this point. Ms. Sanders, is Ms. Sanders present still?
I am.
Okay. We're trying to highlight you here. There we go. That's okay. No, you were doing something else I asked you to do. Don't mind me, I'm talking to Chris while I do this. Ms. Sanders, if you would, please raise your right hand. If you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do, yes.
Yeah, please proceed.
Thank you for your time. As you had mentioned, I did send a letter in just to clarify the situation. I had originally filed on time. I had sent the original copy in on December 8th. The deadline was the 10th. They unfortunately were saying that they didn't get it until the 13th, so I'm not sure why there was a holdup with that, with my original documentation, but the original documentation was incorrect, which I obviously was unaware of when I had submitted the form. It was an honest mistake. I read the directions. I thought I understood them. I did not. Once I talked to Rose Marie Amato, again, she's wonderful. She's been super helpful through the whole process. She helped me understand where I needed to correct that, and got clarification on those. So I corrected the form, sent it to the Cuyahoga Board of Elections, and then obviously forwarded that on to your committee and my as well. So I apologize. It was a mistake.
Any questions from commissioners?
I will, I'm standing by my recommendation. Alternatively, I will say this is Ms. Sanders' first time before the commission, so first time. And so, while I reflected on my ICW at the date of 3/8, I think that's when the DOT ended up being filed, but a report was filed late, but I would disagree with her that it was done on the 13th. I didn't put that date on the form here. So those are all things that I would certainly recommend to the commission that they take into consideration as they address this case.
Questions or comments from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move that we find a violation and impose a fine of $50.
Second.
I'll second.
We have a motion seconded by Ms. Hagan. All in favor, please. I'm sorry, I checked out for a minute. All in favor of the motion, please say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. I promise I'll be back. Yeah.
I was going to say,
Okay.
I think it's understandable, Ms. Kaufman. I've been fading in and out for a while myself, I think. The next
Thank
case
you.
I'm going to bring to the
you
commission's
so much.
attention is case number 2022-R-070. It's in the $50 fine category. Let me get to that. ICW, come on. Rogoff. There we go. It's for a failure to file, initially a failure to file a designation of treasurer, missing or improper disclaimer. The DOT would have been due in early September or mid-September. It was filed on December 2nd. A response has been filed with the commission, which essentially states she thought she had filed the DOT and only later she understood the board not have the designation. Ms. Rogoff, if you would like to address the commission further on this, I would ask you to be sworn. Raise your right hand. You're muted too, by the way, so first you have to unmute yourself. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You're still muted, Ms. Rogoff. Oh, there you go. Okay, now I think you're good.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Please proceed.
Well, I filed my response. I thought that I had filed the designation of treasurer form when I filed my initial paperwork, petitions and so forth, and all that paperwork with the Board of Elections. And apparently that was not among that paperwork, and I didn't realize it at the time. I properly filed the finance report, and that was timely. I think I have a copy of it. I think I spent $180 or something. Did not receive any contributions. And with that campaign finance report, I canceled the campaign. I mean, the committee. So I did close it out. And like I say, I did not realize I had not filed the designation of treasurer form. And I apologize for that. I did call and again spoke with Mr. Motto when I received the notice from the Board of Elections, the Cuyahoga Board of Elections, that I had not filed that. And she said to wait until I got information from the State Board of Elections, which I did, and filed my response timely to your notice. I think, it was just an honest mistake.
Thank you.
Any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I guess I would respectfully request, I didn't hear a recommendation, and I apologize if I missed it. I would respectfully request that.
So do you want to?
Matter receive no fine and.
Bill, do you want to restate your recommendation, please?
Yeah, I was just giving her a chance to finish her statement. My
I'm
recommendation
sorry.
is to, no, that's fine. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a $50 fine. Thank you for your comments on Ms. Rogoff. I appreciate them.
And I would respectfully request that you find no violation and raise any fine.
There's some feedback, so I don't know if everyone has heard her request followed Mr. Richter's recommendation. So any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
Do we have a second? I second the motion. Having a motion that's been duly seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much for your patience and for appearing today.
Thank you very much. The next case I'll bring to the commission is case number 2022 R-064, Paul Miller. It is also in the $50 fine category. It's the allegation is a failure to initially open a separate bank account. A response was received from Mr. Miller outlining the circumstances that he didn't plan to solicit contributions, but he ended up getting them. This is his first campaign. He didn't realize that there was the need for opening a new campaign account. My recommendation to the commission is that we find a violation and impose a $50 fine. Mr. Miller, if you would like to be heard, I would ask you to raise your right hand, unmute yourself. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but nothing but the truth? I was going to say, go ahead and say something because you're muted according to Teams. It didn't come through. You're still muted here. Well, yeah.
Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Now, yeah, the Verizon commercial come to life. Yes, we can hear you now. Please
Oh,
proceed.
technology is wonderful. Okay, I'd like to say a couple of words. First things first is that I never planned to solicit donations, and this is stated on my campaign page website. However, a couple of friends of mine made contributions to my surprise. And I never realized that a specific bank account was necessary. Now, I've listened for the last an hour and a half, and I'll have to say that what I've gathered from listening is the matter is that it applies to me. I didn't understand that I needed to open up a separate bank account. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. I'm saying it's my fault. There's no question about it. But I did it not intentionally, completely unintentionally. So therefore, I've never been in front of your board before, and I'm surprised that a fine of $50 is about to be leveled on that. I would think that in your benevolent looking at my situation, that you would tend to agree with me. It was an honest mistake, and I don't think I should be responsible to pay a $50 fine. I don't think that's right under the circumstances. If I'm a repeat offender, I can understand that. But I've never been in front of your board before. Thank you very much.
We have questions from commissioners for Mr. Miller.
Mr. Richter, does that change your recommendation, sir?
You're muted, Phil.
I muted myself a minute ago because I was talking to Mr. Hughes and I didn't want to interrupt. No, it does not change my recommendation. I respect what Mr. Miller said, but as the commission members are aware, we had this kind of a policy discussion about 2 years ago, ongoing policy discussion as it related to how we would handle first-time matters coming before the commission. And depending on the nature of the explanation given and a variety of other circumstances, I was encouraged, directed for that matter, to take a little stronger stance toward making fine recommendations in certain cases. Considering this involves a case where, with all due respect to Mr. Miller, a campaign committee is obligated to open its own campaign account and not intermingle personal funds with campaign funds. And so that's the primary reason for my recommendation of the imposition of a $50 fine. I'll be glad to answer any other questions the commission may have.
I actually have a question for Mr. Miller. Is this the first time that you have ever ran for office?
No, a matter of fact, like, I think it was 14 years ago, I made a mistake on the letter. It was 14 years ago I ran and I got 500 votes and I lost badly. I spent, I think $200 of my own money for council in University Heights, if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
We have a second.
Second.
Having a motion that's been duly seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Next case I bring to the commission's attention is case number 2022-R-030. It's in the good cause category. Raymond Burzins, Burzins for council. The report was filed essentially 3 days late. The explanation was provided to the commission, which I've synopsized and circulated to commission members.
Right.
There was some health emergencies related to Mr. Burzins and his family, among other things, and so the report was not timely filed. My recommendation is to find that there was a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. Mr. Burzins, if you would like to address the commission, you could be sworn to make a further statement if you are so inclined. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
I just wanted to quickly thank the executive director and the commission, and once again, apologize for kind of wasting everybody's time.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Move that we
Madam
follow the
Chair,
recommendation.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Kreitz. Is that Ms. Tavares, I think?
Yes, that was me.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, everyone.
Next case I bring to the commission's attention is case number 2022-R-042. Renee Everett for city council. There are multiple violations listed in various filing dates on which the reports were to be filed. They were not filed, not timely filed. No, the one wasn't filed in the year 2021. That should have been 2021 as I look at my recommendation sheet now. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $50, primarily based on the number of allegations and the number of late filings. This is the first time, obviously, for Ms. Everett. Ms. Everett, hold on a second. You spotlighting? Okay. If you would like to be sworn and make an additional statement to the commission, I'd ask you to raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please proceed then.
Okay. Excuse me. Being that I financed my own campaign, I wasn't really sure. I filed the designation of treasurer. I had bought stamps prior to filing it, and I included it on the report. So obviously I did not realize that I couldn't purchase prior to the designation, or I wouldn't have put it on there. My last filing was filed and it was 3 days late. Usually I drove it down to the Board of Elections to file. I could not do it at that time, so I had to mail it late. And the disclaimer, once I realized that the letters have gone out, only about 100 went out without the disclaimer. The rest were disposed of and reprinted with the disclaimer on it. So the only late filing that I know I had was that last one. And it was the 3 days late because I did not take it down. And anything, I mean, nothing was malicious. It just, you know, I was doing things myself and just kind of got behind the 8 ball. And my committee is closed now and is terminated and everything is complete.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes 6-0. Thank you so much for your patience. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next case I bring to the commission's attention is case number 2022 R-018, Friends of Jack Schron. This is for a failure to file an addendum or a late, it turns out being a late filing. It was due in early January. It was filed on January 31. Candidate offered or submitted an explanation, which I've synopsized for you. There's one prior matter, 2021 R-045, which was a late filing of the 2020 Post General Report, in which the commission found a violation, but for good cause did not impose a fine. My recommendation is that the commission find a violation and impose a $100 fine. Mr. Schron, I know you've been present most of the day. I'm not seeing you right at the moment. Can you see him?
He's highlighted.
Yeah, I only see this one.
He's
If you would be-
he's spotlighted.
He is spotlighted. Mr. Schron, if you wanted to address the commission, I'd ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee and Mr. Richter.
There you go.
You referenced the prior violation because you brought it up, so I thought I might as well make sure we have that information on there. It was filed timely, but there was a request by the board. I ran for county executive 8 years ago, and at the time, Governor Voinovich or Senator Voinovich had a PAC that he was running. He made a loan to my committee, and he waived that the funds. Unfortunately, Senator Voinovich passed away. The PAC was canceled, and it was extremely difficult to get anyone through the records to verify that there was no attempt to receive those funds. So that caused the addendum to be attached to the original filing and caused it to be treated as late. And I appreciate the last time when the board heard this that they vacated it. I also had loaned money out of my own to myself in the campaign, and I indicated also at that time that I was not seeking any funds back from the campaign. So both of those were waived. They were attached as addendum and constituted the late filing. that was referenced last time, and I greatly appreciate the vacation of that. In regards to the current matter before us, is that again, timely filing was made. However, in the body of that, we had indicated our desire to terminate the account. Within that information, there were a couple of things that the board was questioning. One, which was the final distribution of all funds for services rendered by my treasurer. The funds were transferred. I actually sent down the ACH showing that the monies were actually transferred. That was part of what I sent down way before the filing deadline, so that all those funds were indicated. It was done on the report, but the board said they wanted to see an invoice indicating that those funds were actually transferred, when the ACH, which I believe is in your file, clearly shows that they were electronically transferred in a timely manner, zeroing out the balances. So everything was zeroed out, everything was done, and if you were to look at it, you would see that there was only, I think, $1,700 in the account left, and that those funds were transferred over to the treasurer for his great work that he did. But unfortunately, they didn't have an invoice, so the invoice was later attached as an addendum, and and they wanted to see that all the balances were then transferred out to zero. So if you had $1,700 in the account and $1,700 was transferred on out, it was my good faith belief that does zero out all the funds that were in the account in regards to it. So that was filed showing all zero balances in the account, and the termination. I respectfully ask that the communication, if anybody pulled up the file, would see from a transparency standpoint, they'd see that the balances were closed out to zero, and the intent was clearly done to zero out those accounts, because there was nothing left to be paid to anyone at that point in time, and respectfully ask that you not impose a fine. That again, everyone's the subsequent filings of information after the fact to show that the ACH was done in a timely manner, that to support what was actually filed would be supportive of a closing out, a zero balance, and no amounts left in the account.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from commissioners?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd be interested in Mr. Richter's thoughts.
I appreciate, yeah, okay, make sure I'm unmuted. I appreciate Mr. Schron's statement. A statement was provided to the commission. I seen, the report was not timely filed. I appreciate the response that he's given. There is a prior matter that comes into play. And so with all those circumstances, I'm comfortable with my recommendation being consistent with how the commission handles similar cases, and recommending that the commission find a violation and impose a fine of $100.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director. I'll second that.
We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you so much for your time and patience.
Next case I'd bring to the commission's attention is 2022 R-057, Friends of Shania Knighton. It's for a late filing of designation of treasurer, improper missing disclaimer. Oof. A response was submitted. The report was filed. It was not timely. My recommendation to the commission is to find a violation and impose a fine of $50. Ms. Knighton, if you would like to further address the commission, I'd ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please proceed then.
So I wanted to say that the original form was filed, or let's say that I actually emailed it in to find out that emailing it in wasn't adequate and that I had to put it in the mail. And so the treasurer did not put it in the mail on time. But I also want to highlight too that there was a deficit in regards to knowledge because the financial meeting that was supposed to have been had by the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections was not held and it was not rescheduled. So I did not receive in-person training, and that is because they were without electricity. So I did get the PowerPoints. I did learn what it is that I thought I could, but this was honestly just a misunderstanding. Honestly, just a misunderstanding really, or a misinterpretation in regards to the information that was presented. So I do understand how important the meetings are, and do know that had that meeting been had, I would have been there. And I'm sure that a lot of the confusion that I had with trying to navigate this process could have potentially been cleared up.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from commissioners?
Madam Chair, I'd be interested in Mr. Richter's thoughts.
I'm going to stick with my recommendation at this point, again, because I believe it's consistent with other matters. Alternatively, based on what Ms. Knighton has said, you know, if the commission decided that it wanted to take that additional statement as it relates to the fact of not being able to attend some sort of a training session, I certainly would understand and respect that.
Any further questions or comments? Oh, yes.
So
Ms. Knighton.
I do, and I'm not sure, like, I mean, I know that this is also under oath, but I do have that email or that correspondence of where they mentioned they would not reschedule and did not have the actual meeting. So they sent the email out, and pretty much that was to the extent of it. And so any violations that I have, you know, it is in regards to that designation of treasurer form essentially not being on time. And then even though I did not collect any funds, I filed the paperwork, but even my interpretation of it needing to be filed, I thought that it was a tax year thing, not necessarily needing to be filed by December 10th. So again, the information was there in front of me, but I think it would have been more beneficial if I would have had someone explaining it, as well as there to be able to answer questions.
Yeah. Any further comments or questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Richter, this is a first-time violation too, correct?
This is the first time that Ms. Knighton has been before the commission. That is correct.
Then I'm going to move that we find a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer for prosecution.
I would second.
I think I heard
We
Ms.
have a-
Hagan first, not that it matters a whole lot.
So we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much for your patience and for appearing today.
Next
you.
case I bring to the commission's consideration is a continuation from the last meeting, case number 2021 R-471. Tracy Udria Peters, who appeared at the last commission meeting and asked for additional time. We reset the matter for today's date. I have it as a to be determined case because I had a feeling Ms. Peters would appear. But when I contacted the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections and discussed the matter with them on Tuesday, at that point, no response or no report had been submitted. And so I couldn't update. I was going to update my recommendation on a case where the report is still outstanding. So Ms. Peters, again, I'll ask you to, if you would, raise your right hand, be sworn. If you would swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, please proceed. But the primary thing that we're missing at this point is whether the reports have been filed, and Cuyahoga County has indicated they have not.
Okay, well, I've got the email showing with Ray that, you know, everything's filed with her, Ray Combs at Cuyahoga County, and they're in the process, I guess, of updating everything. But I do have, and I sent it to everybody down in Columbus as well, all the reports along with the emails that were submitted to Ray back in January and that.
I know I didn't get any kind of an email from you, because I would have been looking for something like
Oh,
that.
I
as it
sent all the
relates to what's
backup,
going
I
on.
sent the backup information when I sent my sworn statement that was notarized to show all the reports that have been submitted. Plus I faxed everything before the last meeting. Should have been like 30 something pages of all the reports.
I mean, I know you. I mean, I'm seeing what you submitted here.
Right.
I'm not sure how to address that when I asked the board, or the person at the board about this. See, I think I have. Bear with me for a second. It's going to take me a second to find. What I did was, just for everybody's information, as we were getting ready to finalize, as I'm getting ready to finalize my recommendations here, I sent materials to to Rosemary Amato, the staff at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, and as it relates to Mr. Martin, in this case, and I had as I sent a copy of my worksheet to her, that reflects a question mark by whether the filings have been received or not. The response I got back said nothing, zero, nada. And so I see what you've submitted here. I'm not arguing that.
Oh yeah, no, I understand. Right, and I just got an email
on it.
Okay.
I'm
I have
sorry,
an
go
email.
ahead.
I talked with Ray on April 10th too, to make sure she got everything. Again, because I said, I want to make sure that you do have everything there, because I knew you would be contacting them again. Because like I said, it was a mistake of that one form that I put something on the wrong form and I had a negative balance, and that was my stupidity. And she's the one that pointed that out. And that's why I had to submit the new stuff to her in January. Because of COVID and that, you had to make an appointment to go down there and see them in person.
So you're asserting that the materials that have been submitted to us and that are here are full, complete, and accurate, and you have submitted them to the Board of Elections.
Correct. I could forward you, as a matter of fact, the email that I sent, because I have your email address, Mr. Richter, that I sent to Ray Combs to say I wanted to make sure that she had everything on April 10th.
Okay, I'm not familiar with Ray Combs. I'm familiar with various people at the Cuyahoga County Board.
Okay,
Primarily,
Ray
we deal with
is the one that's in charge of the N's and the M's.
Right. I was going to say, I'm primarily familiar with Rosemary and Brent, who are the two, or let's say, more supervisors there.
Right.
All right. Based on Ms. Martin's or Ms. Peters' statement, I'm going to recommend that the commission find that there is a violation, and then primarily looking at the ICW otherwise, and relying on her assurance that materials have been submitted and received at the board, I'm going to recommend that the commission find that there is a violation for essentially a late filing of a complete and accurate statement, and impose a fine of $100. There is one prior matter for exceeding the cash contribution limits, which the commission decided in January of 2020. And in that case, we found a violation, but for good cause did not impose a fine. Now that there is an additional matter coming before the commission, I'm going to recommend the imposition of a $100 fine.
Okay, and I have a question because I said I would take full responsibility. It was my stupidity. That'll teach me not to read fully. In order to pay this and to expedite it, do I get a letter, or how can I make sure that the fine gets paid ASAP?
Well, now that Mr. Hughes, who primarily is one responsible for preparing and circulating our disposition letters, which I review, and I'm not saying I don't have any responsibility. We've discussed it here. We'll make sure you get included as on a disposition letter that we will send out. It will go to Mr. Martin as both candidate and treasurer and to his committee. We'll also make sure we get one along to you as well. And so then you can have that and submit payment after you receive the disposition letter.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and they're really great at the county, going down there and working one-on-one. That I was sitting there with Ray. We actually sat in a little room. You know, because like I said, she's in charge of the different, I think A through M or A through N. So she's a very nice person. And I know Rosemary and them, like you said, as the supervisors. And I know they're like swamped down there, and I feel bad for them. But everything was, you know, I can assure you, everything was submitted.
Do we have any questions or comments from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
I second it.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I so appreciate it.
Thank you. So we have a motion that's been.
Learning experience.
So we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you so much, and thanks for your patience.
Thank you, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You
Bye,
too.
Mr. Richter. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next matter to come before the commission is case number 2022 R-058. Gina Lehman for late filing of a designation of treasurer and proper disclaimer. There are multiple dates listed. The respondent submitted a response essentially saying that upon suffering from a COVID condition, the candidate filed the post-election report as promptly as she could, but it was one day late. As the designation of treasurer, a candidate not initially believed she was required to submit a designation. Evidence was also submitted that reflects proper disclaimer on the candidate's campaign signs. With all this listed, my recommendation to the commission is to find that there was a violation, but for good cause not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. Are you trying to highlight? Because mine's stuck right at the moment.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go. And so, Ms. Lehman, if you wanted to address the commission, I'd ask you to raise your right hand. If you wanted to say anything further, do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you've heard my recommendation. If there's anything else you want to say to the commission, please feel free.
There isn't really. Just thank you for your understanding. And I just want to second what the person before me was saying. I did clearly make mistakes, but I appreciate all the help that I was given at the Board of Elections. I think probably where the misunderstanding is that when I asked about a designation of treasurer, I probably didn't ask it in the correct way. And that's why I was given the wrong answer. So I do appreciate your understanding and your time today.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you so much for your patience.
Okay, the next case I'd call to the commission's attention is case number 2022 R-031. I believe Jerlene Renee Bolton is present. The This case was on the commission's continuation list because we did not have evidence that there was good service by certified mail on Ms. Bolton. So I'm not aware of whether the campaign finance report's been filed or not. Obviously, we don't have a statement. There's also a prior case outstanding as it relates to Ms. Bolton, case number 2021 R-461, which was a failure to file 2021 pre and post primary reports along with the post general. Ms. Bolton, if you would care to address the commission, I'd ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, yeah, please speak up. You were kind of light there when you just spoke, but thank you very much.
Can you hear me better?
Anyway, go ahead. Yes.
Can you hear me better now? Okay. Yes, I do know that I did submit reports to the Board of Elections. And I did talk to, it wasn't Rosemary, it was the other gentleman there. I talked to him at length about my reports, and I got this long letter from them about things that I needed to change in my reports. And then I got sick. I have breast cancer, and I've had all these surgeries, and I just have not been able to do all the things that they're telling me that I need to do with my reports. And that is why I have not submitted anything. And I know that there was a paper that my daughter kept saying came in the mail that I needed to sign, and I just haven't been able to do any of the things. And a friend of mine, Heather Morrison, she texted me and said, I need you to try to get on your computer. Your name is on this list. You need to come before the committee to let them know what's going on, so that at least they know what's happening with your reports. So that is why I'm here. I know that I'm getting fined. I have radiation starting on Monday. I'm sorry. All I can say is just that I'm sorry.
You may get fined, but you haven't been fined yet. You may not get fined. Everybody
else got fined, so I just figured I'm going to get
not
fined.
Everybody. No, not everybody.
I've been listening all day, and I'm like, well.
Yeah, Ms. Bolton, you're stating you have not yet filed any reports with the Board of Elections, correct?
I did file my initial report that was due. I did file it. They have it, and they sent me this long letter with all the things that you're missing $19. There's a discrepancy of $19 here. There's a discrepancy of this here. Right. And is it a fee? Is it a this? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have the energy to do anything, let alone sleuth where $19 came from. I sent them all of everything. They assured me that they would help me look through everything. I sent them everything. And they just keep sending me, this is what you need to find. And I just can't do it right now.
And that's kind of what I was getting to, is you seem to be saying that you still have reports that are outstanding and you haven't filed them, which is understandable. And I just want to make sure that's clear, because one of the primary things that the commission believes it's responsible for is making sure that all campaign finance reports are filed. And I appreciate you're going through a difficult time, don't get me wrong. But the commission wants to see those reports filed before we make a final determination in a case. There were a couple of cases that you may not have paid attention that we had for reconsideration before the commission. And the reason why we did that is because those cases, we made a determination in the case originally, but the reports had not been filed. And so we give an opportunity to people to still go and file those reports before, so they can come back to the commission and complete a matter at some point. My recommendation to the commission as it relates to your case is now going to be to continue this case to a later date, to give you additional time to go meet with the staff at the board. I appreciate what you're saying about, the what you're going to have to go through as it relates to medical procedures. But the commission really wants to see those reports filed to make sure you are, and the commission will take into consideration your medical conditions and what you're going through. But I'm going to recommend to the commission that they continue this matter to a later date. It's not going to go away. You're going to need to deal with it at some point. And as you've indicated, I think if you go down, and some other people have indicated, if you go down and work with the staff of the board, excuse me, sorry about that. If you go down and work with the staff of the board, they'll be able to help you resolve this issue, because yeah, what you've been referred for in this particular case is a failure to request what's called an addendum, which is after you file your initial report, the board, if it looks at it, it does what's called an audit of it. And if it sees discrepancies and deficiencies, it will then send out an addendum request, which is what you were talking about, where it had all those little things in there. And if you can't deal with some of those things, and you can't finally resolve some of those, we'll be able to help, you know, make a final determination in your case to help you deal with that. But right now, like I said, we're going to continue it, and you deal with the board. You'll get a notice from us when we put it up on a future date if you don't get back in contact with us. But I would encourage you, when you have an opportunity, to go down, meet with the board, work through the issues, file your report, and then after you get it filed, they'll give you a receipt that reflects your filing. Send a copy of that receipt and a statement to this commission, you know, that says, hey, I already been before you once, you continued this case to help me deal with my difficulties and the medical issues I was going through. I've now filed those outstanding reports, and I'm all in compliance, and then we'll put your case back on the commission's agenda. Does that sound okay?
Okay. All right. So you're going to send me something in the mail, and it's going to also go to the, or they're also going to get something to let them know that this is what you've decided, the Cuyahoga County Board of
Yeah,
Elections?
we'll help get some information along to the board to let them know that this is still out there and still pending, but you're going to need to make sure you get together with the staff of the board and take care of this situation. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Well,
Right.
my radiation treatments start Monday, and so that's going to be several weeks. So how long, like, is there a time frame where I have to get this done by?
If we just continue it in general, the answer to that would be no. It's whenever it'll come up. But if you need a couple of months, 3 months, let's say, something along those lines, we can talk about rescheduling this in July or August and bringing it back then. And then you'll get a follow-up notice from us, and it'll give you some time to get this taken care of.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you
so I'll
very
recommend
much.
that the commission continue this case to our August meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Your primary focus needs to be taking care of yourself right now, though.
Absolutely.
Everything else will work its way out. You take care of yourself. All right.
Thank you so
Exactly.
much. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll move the recommendation of the executive director. You're going to continue.
Continue it to August.
Second.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much, and good luck with your treatments.
Thank you so much.
Good luck, Ms. Bolton, and keep in touch, but best of luck to you.
Thanks,
Next
I
case
will.
I'll call to the commission's attention is case number 2022-R-027. The treasurer for that's the Greater Cleveland Citizens for Public Safety. Come on, there we go. I'll get there eventually. Paul Forsgren is the treasurer. He is present in the commission meeting room today. Chris just highlighted him. Mr. Forsgren, if you would like to, well, let me go, since I've started this process, let me go ahead and ask you to be sworn. If you would swear or affirm that what you are about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please proceed after I indicate my recommendation is to find that there is a violation, and impose a fine of $50 in your case. Please proceed.
Understood. I'm here just to apologize to the commission, to the people of Ohio, and to Cuyahoga County. We started a PAC really just to support law enforcement, and this is kind of a rough time for them. And of course, the rule of law is so important. And, campaign law and campaign finance law is very important. So I'm here just to apologize and to say that I understand that lack of knowledge of rules and regulations is not an excuse. And I totally understand the commission's recommendation to impose a fine. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll move the executive director's recommendation.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Richter, you're muted. Still muted. Oh, there you are.
There we go. Yes. Chris did that to me. It's all his fault. He didn't let me know. No. Case number 2022 R-050. Tressa, I presume it's Tressa, Kanzler, treasurer for the committee to elect Nathaniel Corey Hartfield is present. The report was submitted. It was about a week late for failing to file an addendum. My recommendation to the commission is that we find that there is a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. Ms. Kanzler, if you would like to be sworn and address the commission further, you can raise your right hand. And do you swear or affirm that what you're about to tell the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, and I'm okay with that recommendation.
Perfect. Any questions or comments from commissioners? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you so much. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. If there is anybody else who is present remotely on matters that we have not yet addressed, I'd ask you to speak up because based on Chris's list and what we have gone through here, I believe we have addressed all other persons who have been present either physically here or remotely. And now we can get to our recommendation sheet. If the commission wanted to go there, if it needed a break, I'm not sure how you see what everybody wants to do, Ms. Kaufman.
Does anyone need a bio break? Are we going to power through? What's everyone feeling?
Power through.
Power through.
Agreed.
Could I
The
have
commission has
a
spoken.
1 minute break?
You want a
As a
1 minute
mom who
break?
carried twins,
We're going to grant that.
Oh, be
I
that
should
way.
be in the best position to power through, but I'm not.
Okay, well, we are going to do we want to say a 5 minute break then, or it's 1:09, we'll come back at 1:14. Is that okay with everybody?
I think
Roger
1
that.
minute would suffice. Honestly, my restroom is right next to my office.
Okay, so we're going to take a 1 minute break. We're going to time you.
You're on the clock.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey, mine was a lot farther than that. I mean, come on.
Well, we can do 5 minutes.
You're really an understanding chair. I want you to know that.
I you know what? I try. I also have a furry little dude running around who has been like he's just like shaking his head and is jingling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, quit doing that.
Well, Ms. Hagan made back ahead of me, so I know I'm in trouble.
Yeah. You still have 2 minutes to spare.
Oh, I thought we were going on the 1 minute mark, so I was flying.
Well, all the rest of us weak bladdered old men, at least I'll throw myself into that category, couldn't handle it. So it took us longer.
It's hilarious. I served with a guy in the legislature who used to sit in the front row until he made it clear that there were reasons he shouldn't be that far from the restroom. So he got moved to the back row. I'm like, the back row was always a seniority thing. So I was like, maybe I could pull that.
Yeah, really.
I support that. Okay, so we're waiting for, oh, there's
Let's see,
Mr. Lyle.
there's Mr. Lyle. Okay, I think everybody else is present.
Perfect.
And I think, let's see, can we get?
Okay.
Sorry, and Ms. Kaufman, if I stepped on your toes at all throughout the meeting today in terms of lining up cases, et cetera, I apologize, but I thought we got into a good pattern there, so.
No, and I thought maybe I'm not supposed to be talking so much, so, you know.
No,
No, I thought it went,
No.
I thought it went swell, so that's awesome.
considering I
Thank
had
you.
the list, which Chris and I both agreed that's the most impressive list of appearances of cases that we've had so far and all the times we've ever done this. I mean, it went on to a page and a half.
Yeah, that's
Anyway.
awesome. Okay, so back in action. At this point, we are going on to the group considerations. And what do I need to do, Phil? Just,
Well, I can start us through there. The first case, item number 24, Aaron Campbell, that's been withdrawn by the Board of Elections, so no further action is necessary. I just tend to I will leave that on. Once the board or anybody else withdraws a matter, as long as it's done prior to the commission first taking it up, and I'm saying this for Mr. Lyle, Ms. Hagan, and Mr. Knight, who haven't been around before. A matter can be withdrawn at any time before the commission first takes it up for consideration. I got a notice from the board that they wanted to withdraw this matter, so it's essentially gone as soon as we get that. But I will leave it on the commission's agenda just to show that, so that we're putting it before the commission to publicly acknowledge that. No further action is necessary. It's already done, but we've acknowledged that the matter has been withdrawn. So there's nothing else that we need to do for that case. Moving on to the next item, under the no violation case, item number 13, case number 2022 R022. And I will go double check hopefully I will double check my, there it is. This was referred for a late filing of the post general election report. I was wondering where I got to on that one. But you know, while unlike your filing of your tax return, where as long as you make it by the mailing date, as long as you have a postmark, it's considered timely by the IRS. Ohio law obligates campaign finance reports to be filed timely on the due date they are required. Generally speaking, you know, somebody will oftentimes say to the commission, well, I mailed it. And I take that into consideration as I make my recommendations. But we've also in the past made decisions that have said if somebody uses like an overnight delivery service or some other certified service that states they will deliver by X date, you know, like if you stick it in your FedEx box for delivery on the due date, we have accepted that as a sufficient meeting of the deadline. Let's put it that way. And if the service doesn't live up to its requirement for timely filing a report, or for filing a report by the date they say they will file it, we've accepted that as a part of our finding. In this particular case, the response that was submitted to the commission by the candidate included a certified mail or an expedite. I don't know, it wasn't expedited mail, but the tracking date said its anticipated delivery was December 9th when she submitted it to the USPS. Didn't get there until the 15th, according to the board. Based on her submission to me and to us, I should say, that reflected that it was anticipated to be delivered by the 9th. I'm making a recommendation to the commission that they find no violation in this case.
We have a motion.
And that will take action.
I move that we follow the executive director.
Second.
Okay. Having a motion that's been duly seconded, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Okay. The next category is the good cause category. Mr. Richter, do you want me to just go through them, or?
Why don't, either you can go through them and I'll make sure we're getting the same ones, or I can go through them, because we need to make sure that we're not repeating something that's already been dealt with. So
Okay.
why don't you go ahead, and if I'm in agreement, I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Okay, so the next category is good cause category. We are looking at cases 2022R-024, 2022R-040, and 2022R-041. Those are cases that were find a violation, but for good cause and not impose a fine. So do we have a motion on these cases?
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. The next category is the $50 fine category. We have cases 2022R-028, 2022R-032, 2022R-060, 2022R-063, 2020R-076, and that is all for those comments, or?
Yes, 2022R-076.
Did I say that? I said that.
You said 2020.
Oh, I'm
just
sorry.
clarifying.
Sorry,
That's okay.
2020R-076. It's been a long morning, right?
It's now
Sorry.
the afternoon. It's how long that morning has
Yes.
been.
Yes, that's true. So do we have a motion on these cases?
Move we
These are-
follow the recommendation.
Is that
Okay.
Mr. Kreitz?
Yes.
Whoever,
Okay,
I was, yeah.
Okay, then I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, we have a
Knight.
motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. The next category is $100 fine category. 2022R-017, 2022R-019, 2022R-035, 2022R-038, 2022R-068, 2022R-077. So these are find a violation, impose a fine of $100. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Tavares,
Second.
second by Mr. Lyles. Is who I heard. I don't know. Matters. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. The next category is $150 fine category. We have case 2022R-039. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second. So,
I think Ms.
motion has
Tavares
been
beat you
duly.
to it by a second there. Sorry, go ahead.
We have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. So I'm going to have Mr. Richter. Do you have anything you want to tell us about on the reconsider case of?
Yeah, the next couple of cases I'll address. Let me just get to
Thank you.
the recommendation sheet. But obviously, you can see the recommendation is to reconsider case number 2021R-104. There it is, in which we found a violation and imposed a $25 a day fine. Vacate the previous finding there, consolidate that case with this case, 2022R-037, find a violation and impose a fine of $150. In this particular case, the respondent filed the post-general report, which would have been inclusive of any information there would have been inclusive of previous matters. And so that certainly plays into my recommendation. The response only said the treasurer simply filed the report late. Didn't give a whole lot of extra detail. Other than that, I think I pretty much verbatim included what the response was. And so with that being the circumstances and there being a prior good cause case, I believe it was appropriate to go a little beyond what our normal, let's say, $50 fine. And so my recommendation is to consolidate those cases, find a violation, impose a fine of $150.
Any questions?
I'll be glad to answer any other questions you may have. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Move we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
The next case that I'll speak to, 2021R-373, was continued from a previous meeting. The report was filed. It was filed late. There was a prior case that the commission just decided in 2384. Somehow we got cases out of order. It was just decided in late January, I should say, in which we found a violation and imposed a $300 fine, not a $3,000 fine. I apologize for my typos. And so rather than a $300 fine is fairly substantial, I'm recommending that we impose, that we kind of the way I phrased it, restate the fine of $300 as was imposed in that case, in this particular set of circumstances. So to find a violation and restate the $300 fine as opposed, that's all I'm expecting to get. And then if he does pay that fine, I'd probably put the other case there that shows as being outstanding. Because based on my conversation with the board and what they've provided, all the material, all the outstanding reports have been submitted. And so we're in a situation where I think everything is as updated as it can be, but I believe a fine is appropriate. I've kind of stumbled over myself in making that explanation. I apologize, but there it is. If you got any other questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions from Mr. Richter?
I move we accept the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. So the next category is a $25 a day fine with reconsideration option. Anything
Those
you
are
want to say
both
about this,
matters-
Village?
Yeah, those are both matters where the respondent is before the commission for the first time. They have not yet submitted their their reports based on confirmation from the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. I'll go ahead and get the next one as well while we're on it. Item in the next, gee, Manelli, I apologize for stammering and stuttering. Yikes. The next case too, though, is one where the reports have not yet been filed, 2022 R-044, which is in the next recommendation. Nothing more I need to add. The board has said those reports have not been filed, and so my recommendation reflects the fact that, in order for us to reconsider those matters, they need to take care of the filings. I'll be glad to answer any other questions that you may have.
So the first two cases are 2022 R-067 and 2022 R-071, and then the one that Mr. Richter indicated, 2022 R-044. Any questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
Move that we follow the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
So we have a motion that has been duly seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. The next one would be continue upon request of the Board of Elections. Do I have to do anything
No,
with
hold
that?
on.
Phil?
We didn't deal with 2022 R-044.
Oh, sorry, I included that in there.
That's
That's my
okay.
bad. I apologize.
It was included in the motion, I believe, Phil.
I don't think so, because I said we should deal with those separately, because we got to consolidate the cases in 2022 R-044 with 2021 R-466.
Okay. So do we have a motion on that?
So
I'll
moved.
move we follow the recommendation.
Okay, so Mr. Lyle made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion that's been duly seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
What?
Motion carries 6-0.
Oh.
Okay, so the next case is 2022 R-052, continue upon request of respondent. Do we?
Yeah, you
have to
have
do
the ability to
anything?
continue all those matters, Madam Chair. If you just want to go ahead and cite them for the record
Absolutely.
and identify all
Um,
those even through continue for service, and they are continued.
Okay, those cases are 2022 R-025, 2022 R-026, 2022 R-029, 2022 R-036, 2022 R-043, 2022 R-048, 2022 R-054, 2022 R-055, 2022 R-061, 2022 R-069, 2022 R-073, 2022 R-074, and 2022 R-075 are all continued.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next section is our recommendations, and that would be reconsider the kind of. Well, I'm gonna let you talk about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. We keep stepping on each other. The reconsideration matters are all where we're going to finish. And I'll go through each one of them briefly. The first two cases, well, we've already dealt with Mr. Barker. He was dealt with earlier. Items number 69 and 71, Amanda Billy, 2022 R-382 and 2021 R-089. The board has informed me that Ms. Billy has passed away. And so I'm recommending that the commission reconsider the consolidated cases, vacate the previous finding, dismiss the case, and declare the committee terminated pursuant to advisory opinion 97 ELC 04, which again, for our newest members, in 1997, I wrote an opinion on behalf of the commission that said that when we were presented with evidence in a situation involving a PAC or a campaign committee, wherein essentially all the responsible parties, whether it's treasurer, candidate, deputy treasurer, or whatever, had been deceased, that we would declare that committee terminated, as there was no one else responsible for